Happy New Year to all of our listeners. It is now 2019. This is the first F2 podcast in 2019. This is Colin Stevens back on with PC Henry and Nick Izzo behind the scenes, the computer, the camera, holding it down for us. We're gonna New Year. PC, any resolutions that you have decided to maybe, start some new things, quit something? Is there anything you're trying to change coming to the new year?
I've got a New Year's word.
Okay.
And it's going to apply to all aspects of my life.
Okay.
It's strength.
Strength.
And obviously we can talk about what strength means, but we're on the same page on what strength means. Sometimes it means vulnerability. Sometimes it does mean aggression. Sometimes it does, it means a lot of different things.
Right.
But I just want to be stronger. I want to be stronger in my faith, spiritually, and be stronger emotionally. And sometimes I feel like being strong can be misconstrued. But I think we're on the same page on what that actually means. And I want to be stronger physically. A few powerlifting meets this year.
Nice.
And a couple Spartan races. And so, yeah.
I dig it. Is that one word inspired from maybe a John Gordon? One word,
I've seen a few one words, and I was just like, I like this better than having a list. Yeah. And I think when you have a theme or a process or a way of doing things, it's more effective than just a written out specific thing. Right. Yeah, the way my brain works, it feels like a task, and I don't enjoy tasks. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the way of doing things. I enjoy the culture of it. And so, I'm just going to kind of self-evaluate, was I strong today? Right. And these different areas.
Day by day. I dig it.
What about yourself?
I think, I don't know if I've been a resolution guy in the past. I think I have, chosen a word in the past before. I think with experiencing some of the things that I experienced in 2018, I think I want to be purposeful, and I want to be intentional about what I do with my time, about where I'm going and how I'm allowing God to just use me and work through me. So I don't have any specific goal or anything that I'm going towards, but if anything, it's just being more open to what God wants to do in me. And, we're going to make plans. I'm going to make plans with my family. We're going to make plans with my business but really just try to allow more and more for God to shape those plans and to guide everything, and for me to be not so stubborn and bullheaded and hop on board with where He's taken me and us, our team, our F2 team, or our Manzer team, or my family. Be on board with that. So that is something that's not a 2019 resolution. That's like hey, this is a change that needs to be made in my life, forever going forward, is just to be on board with God. So,
well, and I think we see a lot of people that hate on resolutions and all that, and 85% of people, as far as fitness goes, I think the metric is around 85% of people that have joined a gym in January have stopped going or canceled in February. Right. So what? Right. It's this cool time where you can just stop, reflect, and pivot and just try and do something better. And I don't think you really fail if you're just trying to be better.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about, why do you think people fail in their resolutions?
I think they forget about them. I think they get back in their comfort zone, because change is discomfort. Right. To some extent. And I think we're just in a culture where we're just constantly seeking, that warm, comfy environment. Yeah. But I also think that environment leads to, things like depression. It leads to, it's very, very dangerous. And but I think January is a cool time where people at least try to start stepping out of their comfort zone and do something different and positive.
And I think I can't help but think, like, when we have like a deeper purpose behind what we're doing, like, you know, people make changes when like change is it happens and you can't stop it, or they make changes when it's like drastically necessary. Like, I've known some people that have stopped drinking alcohol because their doctor told them if they keep drinking, they're going to die in a month. Yeah. Like, that's like, you make a change because it is drastically necessary and because there's a deeper purpose. Like, I want to be alive. Well, so I'll stop doing what I was doing.
And that change, when the change is forced on you because of a series of decisions that you've made before, it's a lot more painful and a lot more uncomfortable than it is if you've attacked it ahead of time. No, and you've embraced the discomfort.
I think regardless, it's a why you're doing it. Like, if you know, if somebody feels like they want to lose weight, like if they don't have like I have to lose weight in order to be happier, like if they don't have that mindset, then they're not going to change it. Yeah. Like, if we don't have a deeper purpose in why we're doing something, like, we're just not going to do it. Because you can do it for a week, and then it gets to the point where you're like, you'll actually ask yourself, why am I doing this? Yeah. Why am I only eating vegetables? Like, why am I?
Prevents the setbacks from stopping you. Right. You know, when there's that deeper purpose. If you're just doing something because it sounds good, like.
And think about it, but this applies.
Something's gonna sound better.
Absolutely, but this applies. You know, like if we bring this into the basketball world, like think about how many setbacks you can have during a season, or think about how many setbacks you can have in the off season when your body is breaking down a little bit, or you don't feel like eating well.
That's a great point. That's why the Warriors are going to win the championship, because they have a deeper purpose to what they're doing, and they're having setbacks now, and they're going to grow from it, and they're going to peak right at playoffs. And they're going to have Boogie. And
so if you guys have not heard the previous podcast of this, PC he's bringing up old stuff. And so, I still disagree that the Warriors are going to win the championship. I do not believe that their why is deep enough right now. I think they're all sitting on a fat pocket of cash, and they've already kind of just been like the best for so long. I just don't think they're that hungry anymore. So if you want to hear more in depth about that podcast, please listen to the episode that was prior to this. And at this point, James Harden just hit a game winner last night on the Golden State Warriors to also show that they will not be winning the NBA championship this year.
Set them up for the great comeback.
So a lot of people also make the New Year's resolution of, hey, I want to grow my faith. Like for you, you said you want to be stronger in your faith. But again, if there is not a deeper purpose to that, if there's not a why that drives you to that, like, do you think that it can just happen?
No.
All right, so what then, putting you on the spot, would be your deeper purpose of why you want to be stronger in your faith? It sounds good.
I think there's a couple reasons. We work with a lot of athletes, and the reason we started this whole deal was to help athletes use their platforms basically to show athletes that they can use their platforms to honor God. They can use their situations that they've worked incredibly hard for, or God has gifted them in certain ways, and they can use those things to glorify God. I think as a coach or trainer, whatever you want to call me, I've got to help set the tone for that more.
Gotcha.
I think I do in some ways. Yeah. I think I don't hit it as hard as I should. Yeah. At times.
So you want to lead better.
Yeah.
You want to lead better by example and by. Yeah. I dig it. And I think because of that, like, if you do think now, because leadership is often, leadership, if we just put somebody in a position that they're leading others, we call that leadership. But leadership is actually is somebody or a team of people who are do what it takes for the betterment of the people that they're leading, right? And oftentimes we elevate leaders as though they are the ones that we should be glorifying. where in any sense of the true word of a leader is like serving the people that they're leading. Yeah. And so servants aren't glorified. Yeah. Right. And so we get it kind of backwards, if you ask me, in our culture of how we treat leadership, because leadership is sacrificial in nature. But our culture kind of flips it around and says, if you're a leader, then, oh man, then you got to be the one that everybody looks to, and you got to get paid the most, and you got to have the position and the title and the influence and everything else. But in actuality, leadership is what's best for the group. And oftentimes what's best for the group that I'm leading is not what's best for me. Or, and we saw Jesus lead by example. We've seen great leaders come through that have led by example, that haven't been glorified themselves, but in fact, the community or the society or whoever they're leading has thrived because of their leadership as a serving the others, right?
I like the book. My favorite book when I was like a little kid, my mom used to read it. It's called The Giving Tree. Have you ever read it?
I have not.
It's a great book. It's a short read.
Yeah.
But it's a great book, and like the concept of it is this kid has I think it's like an apple tree, but it's he asks the tree, "Can I have some fruit?" And he says, "Of course." And the kid ends up taking all the apples and selling them to do this and that. And then he wants to build, I haven't read it in a while, but he cuts the branches off to build something that he needs. And he says, "Absolutely, take it. And then it's like he wants to build a boat. So he's like, "Can I have and so he cuts the trunk of the tree down. And then the kid comes back, and like in each phase, the kid's going back to this tree as like a younger adult, an older kid and a young adult. And then at the end, he's like an old man, and he just comes and he's like, "There's a stump there," and he's like, "Can I just sit?" And he's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And like I would love to be a giving tree.
The Giving Tree.
To people.
So I need to get that for my kids, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
That book. I dig
Absolutely.
it. So for all of you guys and gals who might be making New Year's resolutions, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what your resolutions might be, or it might not be a resolution for you. It might be just a change that you've been trying to make even for the past several weeks before the new year. But we'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts on resolutions and maybe your deeper purpose or why. One of the things that were talking about prior to the start of the podcast is, what is relevant in basketball right now. Certainly James Harden knocking out the Golden State Warriors was last night. But All-Star voting is going on right now, and Nick, where's Luka in that mix? He is third. Luka Doncic.
The Matador is the nickname.
The Matador. Okay, so the Matador is his nickname.
He's not even Spanish.
Right, and he
played in Spain.
He played in Spain. But Luka
American.
was a little bit the pick was controversial, right? I mean, there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, he was dominant in the in the Euro Cup and the Euro League, and that's not the NBA, so he's not going to be very good in the NBA. He's not athletic enough. He's not this or that." Well, what's cool about Luka is he didn't really say much about anything. He's just gone out and just done his thing. And it seems like he's the clear favorite for Rookie of the Year right now.
And I think, I talked to David Kraj over at Coastal Carolina about it, and they played together for like 8 years growing up. And I've asked him a good bit about him, but what I've gathered from him is he just is who he is, and he's fine with that.
Yeah.
He wants to get better and everything,
right.
But it's like a conversation we had the other day, and it's just like when you're just like, okay, I'm where I need to be.
Right.
I'm going to do the best job I can,
right.
And whatever happens, and then I've got the next thing. And I just think he seems to have a very simple life for somebody in a situation where guys have very complex lives.
Yeah.
He hoops and plays video games.
Yeah.
He's a 19-year-old
I mean, he's a kid, right?
Yeah, but he's good with that.
Yeah.
He's not trying to put on and be
right.
this larger than life. He's
right.
just want to hoop and as best of my ability.
Right.
I'm chilling. I'm gonna play video games.
And I will say, like I think we kind of saw that when he got drafted. There was a couple of comments about his mom. She was a previous supermodel, and
I would have kicked off.
Right, and there was some comments, that for how good looking his mom was, floating through Twitter, and he didn't there was no backlash from him. There was nothing now he's probably dealt with it for a while, honestly.
Right.
But so it might be just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But how he's handled himself in the public eye so far has been pretty remarkable for him being a 19-year-old in the spotlight like he is.
But I don't think he sees it as I'm handling myself a certain
No,
way.
That's I agree. Yeah.
I think it's just he's like,
yeah.
I'm really good at basketball. I'm gonna keep trying to get better at it. I have my dream job, and he doesn't come up in the media as causing trouble with girls or being out all the time.
Right.
Now
this is also his first year.
Yeah, I'm not.
And
small sample size,
right? Small sample size, but what's cool to me is that how much flack the EuroLeague got for having a young kid win the MVP, and that was like when he got drafted, and the first few games he was adjusting to the NBA game, didn't have incredible games his first few games, and now that he's doing what he's doing, I think it's awesome for basketball internationally, because it also shows wow, this kid, he did win the MVP of the EuroLeague, and that must be a very good league now.
Right.
Now that, right? Because, not only is he going to be an all-star, it's very likely that he's going to be Rookie of the Year. Could he make an All-NBA team at the end of the year?
I think he could make a third team.
Because
the thing is with all that, what position is he?
Right.
He could be voted in as a point guard. He could be voted in as a shooting guard. He could be voted in even as a small forward.
Yeah.
I think eventually he'll play the 4 a lot.
Right.
I think he's a 6'7", 225-pound Steve Nash.
Yeah. He's really good. And now look, think about their European market, man. Like Mark Cuban's got to feel like he's hitting on all cylinders right now, because Dirk started waning, and to have Luka come through, it keeps the Mavs as in the international eye too.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're not on the East Coast. They're not on TV enough, in my opinion, because that backcourt of Dennis Smith and him, if they can, they seem to have really good synergy right now. I know everybody was like, "Why are you getting?" He's a point guard. He's a basketball player.
Yeah, he can do whatever. Well, and that's what's cool too. You see a little bit about the Euro game. He's super skilled at 6'7". He can play all kinds of, and it's funny, his athleticism has been kind of a knock. That hasn't seemed to be a problem at all. No.
He's special. But I think you're starting to see it with a lot of European guys, and in that they're just hoopers. A lot of them that come over, if they're tough enough, if they can handle the physicality and the athleticism, if they can just handle it, they don't have to be elite at it.
Right.
They're great. Jokic, I think, had more triple doubles than dunks last year.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's an MVP candidate right now. And so I like that these guys, at least in those two scenarios, and I think kids should learn from them, because they're both different, but they didn't pigeonhole themselves as, it would have been very easy for Luka. I imagine he was pretty talented at an early age. Yeah. And let's say he was a good shooter, kind of naturally. It would have been very easy for him to go, I'm a shooter.
And that's
and
it,
just chuck threes.
Right.
Or it could be the opposite. Jokic could have been like, well, I'm big, so I need to just
stay close to the rim,
get rebounds. And not that stuff's not important.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we work, a lot of youth guys that I rub shoulders with put themselves in this category because they've had some success with this thing, and they don't want to step out that comfort zone.
Yeah, but it's also, you get some knucklehead coaches that think winning games as 9-year-olds really matters.
Yeah.
And so, like they don't think about developing young athletes.
You see it in youth soccer here.
Right?
You put the biggest kid at the back and kick it the furthest. And then put the fastest kid up top. And you kick it far and you run really fast and we'll win. And then everybody hits puberty and it's like, this guy only knows how to do this, and he's still 5'8", even though he's 5'8" as a 7-year-old.
Right.
And then you've got this kid that was fast, and then like all of a sudden everybody's just as fast. He just matured early, and I just like the holisticness of the development.
Well, and it's I think it's happening more. I think the European game has certainly influenced the game here in the States in terms of, regardless of what size you are, if you can shoot, you can shoot. You know, and I mean, look, we've had guys like that. I mean, Larry Bird was 6'8", 6'9", right? And he could stroke it, and he didn't just stay close to the basket. I mean, I think it also depends on what your skill set. I mean, nobody was going to tell Larry that he couldn't shoot it.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he worked his tail off to be able to be a shooter. So he developed his skill set before anybody was going to tell him what he could do, because there's nobody out in the cornfields that could tell you what to do. So he shot against his peach basket and plywood, and he just developed into a great shooter. But I think as we look at just developing players all around, you know, that is certainly one of the things that we focus on is expanding skill, but also understanding, you know, like, what players, you know, as players get older, their ability to add new skill, it becomes more difficult, right? Sure. And so I think it's also, you know, you said something about Luka before, that he stays within himself. You know, that I think that's really, really important for players as they get older, to be able to know what they're good at and stay within themselves, because that's how they add value to a team.
Line
Absolutely. Like, but think about it. When you're younger, you have the ability to make more mistakes and try to do more, and then figure out kind of what your game is. Right. When you get older, if you're making too many mistakes, you're just going to get cut. Yeah. You're just going to get, you know, like.
Well, we see it in basketball, that's pertaining to the weight room. We see it all the time. Oh, I don't want him to mess up his shot. Oh, he's got a game tomorrow. Right. It does not matter how well they do in their under 16 game.
Right. Right.
Like, really.
Right.
Like, if they have lofty goals, what matters for a high school player is how good are you when you're 18 years old. What matters for a guy that wants to be a professional is how good are you when you're 19. And that takes certain sacrifices. Sure. You're going to be a little, you might be a little fatigued, you know, but that's why, in my opinion, that's why people shy away from the weight room, because it's hard, and you know, they might be a little sore, and they've got, and these games are sensationalized. They're going to play 1,000 games in their middle school and high school career. Right. Like, this one event is not going to make or break. Like, if you're good enough, especially now. This was the case when you came through to an extent. This was the case when I came through. Like, if you're good enough, you'll get found. And now, I mean, everyone in the world's connected. Right. Everyone can see anyone play. Right. If you're good enough, by the due date, you're going to get signed. You're going to get your contract.
The reality is if you're good enough, you still have to prove it.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool. You know, like, how many guys get drafted each year, and then a year or two, they're like nowhere to be seen, because they didn't do what it takes to prove themselves at that next level, at the highest level. And so, like,
I think it's a lack of appreciation at its core.
Yeah, and
that's not protecting what you've gotten.
But I think it's also, you know, some of these guys have gotten to where they've gotten, and they haven't put the work in.
But that's what I'm saying. They haven't earned it. When you haven't earned something,
yeah.
When you just kind of fallen into it, or you haven't earned it as much as the next guy, like, he's gonna protect it. Yeah. That's why, like I think about a guy like Torrey Craig. Yeah. With the Nuggets. He's getting a ton of minutes right now. Traps Hoop, shout out. Yeah. But he has earned every single penny that the Nuggets are paying him. He has been through it. He has done whatever he had to do, and I'll bet on him having, you know, barring some freak accident, I will bet on him having a 10-plus year career.
Yeah.
Because I believe he'll do what it takes to protect.
Yeah, and you know what's
what he's
cool
earned.
about Torrey, too, is that he went to Australia and he played there for 3 years. He was then the Australian MVP. But there's guys that we've talked to, that we've been around, that have been like kind of snubbed their nose, like, I don't want to go play in Australia. I belong in the league.
No, you don't.
Right?
Not until somebody hands you a contract.
Exactly. So then you have somebody like Torrey Craig that says, I belong on a basketball court.
Yeah.
I just need to go hoop. I need to go do what I can do. Mm-hmm. And then over time, like you add value like you're supposed to add value, and then people are like, oh, we need him to add value to our team.
And he's outlasted everybody.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean,
right.
There's probably 200 guys his age, similar talent level, that my man's just outlasted.
Yep. Which is it's just a really cool story, but it also goes back to Luka, and he's proving that he belongs in the NBA and that he's an impactful player in the NBA, and that the draft happens based upon potential, and so there's a lot of guys that get drafted and they wind up not making it, and there's a lot of guys that get drafted and they hang around, and then there's some guys that get drafted and they're impactful players. So it's really cool to see Luka do what he did last year in the EuroLeague, and it validates the EuroLeague as a fantastic basketball league as we believed it was. But then it starts to make the argument, like, should more guys go overseas, not go to the NCAA, and, test their ground professionally before they even try to make it to the NBA?
If you have legitimate money on the table, go.
Now, what about
the G League?
What about the G League? They're not gonna offer 125 to everybody.
No,
but they're trying to step in and slide in a little bit and say, hey, there's a market here with the NBA. If you will, you don't want to go to college, you want to play professionally, don't go overseas. Stay here in the States and get paid, $125,000, and then you can be eligible for the draft.
Well, and I believe when they first came out that I was reading up on it, and they're offering like some amount of assistance with providing secondary education, or next level education. And so, like, I love it.
Yeah.
I think the best structures in the world of sports is European soccer, and you see the countries that really flourish at their top leagues and produce the best players. They have second, third, and in some cases fourth leagues where guys are making full-time incomes,
right,
and are able to focus on their craft. And if everyone always says, like, there's probably some parents. Most parents would say to their kid, do what you're passionate about.
Right.
Shoot for the stars.
Right.
But then they go, I want to be a professional basketball player. They go, okay, but like maybe you could go to business school here and then keep playing basketball.
Right.
Like now, I think it's great. The G League is offering an opportunity for some guys.
Well, you're still talking about the top 3% of players in America, top 2% that are ever even going to go get paid from coming out of college that are going to get paid.
Yeah.
But, all right, so let me ask you this then. Your kid is James Wiseman. He could go to the NCAA next year, or he could go to the G League. He'd get paid $125,000, or he could probably have offers in China for $1 million. What would be your three? What would be your pick of the three? NCAA, G League $125,000, China $1 million. Moutier went to China. Who else went over there? Did Jennings go over there? Right. Yeah. There's a couple others that have. Most recently would be Terrence Ferguson, right? And
Jeremy Tyler go over there too.
So this is my argument: is that there is nothing like building your brand right now in the NCAA. My other argument is it is highly unlikely that these top players are not getting paid anything to go to play for any of these big-time college programs.
Right.
I don't know anything factually. However, it's highly unlikely.
I do. They're getting paid.
Right? And so, like, if you're going to get paid and you can build your brand, again, over time, you get drafted, that shoe deal is you're way more marketable to the shoe company. You're way more marketable to the telephone company, the wireless company. In terms of building your brand, I still think the NCAA is top notch at that. Because G League is not a marketable thing right now. If you're killing in the G League, you'll get a shot at an NBA contract. But
so my rebuttal would be, you said $1 million in China, right?
Yeah.
I would go to China,
okay,
because I think you can build an international brand there. Jersey sales are usually 8 to 10-fold as far as NBA jersey sales go in their country versus ours.
Yeah.
And you got $1 million.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
And if it's my son, what if he gets a car wreck?
Yeah.
What if Jason Williams was set to make
Yeah.
a ton of money and got in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
Like life
Yeah.
can happen, and if somebody has $1 million on the table for you to basically do exactly what you want to do with your life for a year, go.
Yeah. Well, I think we can agree that there's no perfect scenario, right scenario.
All three are great
you
scenarios.
get the hoop and you get paid. You get to do it.
Is a great.
Yeah, you get to do what you love, and
I
you
think
get
it's
paid
only
for
going
it.
to get better.
No, I agree. I think there's going to be more and more adjustments to it. But as we wrap this thing up, we'd love to hear any topics that you'd like for us to talk about, whether it's basketball or whether it's faith. We love to take some of your comments or some of your questions and see if that's something that we can dive into. There's not a lot that we'll shy away from. So we appreciate you guys listening, and we hope that you're going to have an awesome 2019, starting it with some good habits this year. And again, we'd love to hear from you if you are making any New Year's resolutions or making some changes. But we hope that you continue to listen. We hope these podcasts bless you, and we're excited. Stay tuned in, and make sure that you listen to last week's podcast. Why the Warriors are not going to win the NBA championship. All right, we are out. Peace.